Now, things are going all right for me in FPL at the moment. In Game Week 9, I scored 53 points and I'm up to 553k overall, the 5s and 3s. In this video, I'm going to take you through my team selection for Game Week 10. All right, I went through this on my transfer plans video, but I just wanted to give you a quick reminder of how my team got on in Game Week 9. So, 53 points, 553k overall, like we said at the start of the video. My whole defence basically carried my team. So, Raya, Gabriel, Senesi, all with clean sheets. Joe Rodon with a goal for Leeds. That's yeah, I mean, some people call it lucky, but I think I made my own luck really by starting him. It's a weird one, but I just had a feeling he was going to get some kind of jammy return this week on the nature of me starting him. And I think it was the right call to start him over, my options were an injured Anderson or Tarkowski who played Tottenham. I just think he was the best one of the three to start. So I did. Senesi got a clean sheet, yellow card, Gabriel 9-pointer, Raya 6-pointer. Very happy with my defence. Total pretty much blanks from my midfield, so no attacking returns. Bruno Fernandes with Defcon, Saka and Semenyo with a clean sheet. I bought Enzo Fernandez this week for Caicedo because, well, he's been okay from open play in terms of the numbers he's put up, and also with no Cole Palmer in the team, he's going to take set plays, penalties, free kicks. Unfortunately, none of that came to fruition. João Pedro, Haaland up front, both blanking. 4-point captain for Haaland, but I mean, Haaland blanking or doing well in one particular game week is not going to really have any impact on my team given how highly owned he is and how many people will have him as their captain. The only thing was I had Krupi Jr. on my bench. He obviously scored, got 6 points. He was one of my transfers in to basically enable Saka. I did Gyökeres to Krupi Jr. to get Saka in. The 6-pointer is a bit annoying, but I always think, was I ever going to start Krupi Jr. over any of the other players I had in my team? Probably not. And the question probably still remains this week as to whether I play him. So, yeah. Relatively happy with the transfers I made. Relatively happy with the team. And I think 53 points. Green Arrow, another 100-ish K. I think it went up, 80k overall, I think, from last week. I'm pretty happy with that. All right. Everyone is probably bored of me at this point talking about Crystal Palace, but this is my team selection video, so I'm literally talking about the players that I'm planning to bring into my team, right? I spoke about this on my transfer plans video, I spoke about this on players to buy and avoid for Game Week 10, and I spoke about this on my wildcard draft video, right? Crystal Palace defence, for me, are just absolutely on the menu. Richards, Gahey, Munoz being the three that I would pick. Excuse me. It's just a case of which one do I want to go for. Munoz the most expensive. I think he's gone up to 5.7 million now. Basically plays as a right winger for Crystal Palace, albeit might not be the absolute best for defensive contribution points. Gahey, decent for attacking returns, better than Chris Richards with the threat that he's posing from set pieces. But on the flip side, not quite as good for Defcon. And he's in the middle in terms of price. 4.9 million at the moment, I think Mark Gahey is. And then Chris Richards, 4.5 million. Offering pretty much no attacking threat from set pieces, but he is the best for Defcon. He's averaging well over 10 Defcon per game. However, press conference from Glasner suggested that Chris Richards is going to miss tomorrow's Carabao Cup tie. I think Crystal Palace play Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, and, well, Chris Richards has a calf injury, so he's going to miss that game. Glasner is confident, apparently, that he'll be back for the weekend. And obviously, the JD Canvo will deputise in his place. Are you fully confident that Chris Richards is going to play against Brentford? I'm not. By the time you see this video, it'll go out on Wednesday afternoon, so there will be today's, but you see where it comes from. I'm not fully confident that he's going to be back fit for the weekend, so we go back to the three that I've got. Budget, I can't really get Munoz. Gahey is the one then that I have to go for. So I'm bringing in Gahey. I'm going to use one of my free transfers immediately. That puts me down to 2 free transfers with 0.6 million in the bank. Because I'm going to sell James Tarkowski because I need to do that in order to free up funds to make another move. So I'm going to do the Defcon Beast James Tarkowski out for Mark Gahey. And that's going to be my defensive move. Raya, Gabriel and Rodon alongside him. I think it makes sense to start those three ahead of, well, Anderson looks like still injured. Senesi, I can't really be starting him against Man City away from home. So I think it makes sense. And Krupa Jr. is going to be on my bench again and probably score 6 points. But yeah, first transfer of the week will be James Tarkowski to Mark Gahey. Now, I'm going to show you my midfield first before I talk about any potential transfer targets, because I'll be honest, I think it's pretty solid. Like, I am desperate. I do not desperately need to make a transfer in this midfield, right? Saka, Fernandes, Semenyo, and Jai Enzo is right up there. You know, I made a wildcard draft video yesterday. Well, I made it the same day as today, but it came out yesterday. And it had this same midfield five, but instead of Enzo Fernandez, it had Ismaila Sarr. Quite honestly, I'm not really going to make a transfer here, but there are a couple of players that I've got my eye on, namely Brian Mbeumo. 8.2 million for Man United. 5 attacking returns from 9 games so far this season. And I think of all of the Man United attackers, you know, Brian Mbeumo looks like the one to get, doesn't he, in terms of open play attacking returns. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes has the DEFCON penalties, set pieces, but Brian Mbeumo is doing this stuff from open play. And with Man United, I think the fixtures they've got coming up are really good as well. Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, Everton, Crystal Palace, West Ham. The fixtures aren't too, even though I just bigged up the West Ham, Crystal Palace defence, sorry. I think the fixtures are pretty good. And Man United do look like they're turning a corner. They do in terms of their form. They've got no European football, so you've got to think he's 90 minutes every game. He did that for Brentford. I'm sure he'll do the same for Man United. Looks like a really good option. But it's just a question of who do I get rid of for Brian Mbeumo? I don't want to get rid of Saka. I don't want to get rid of Bruno. I can't really afford to get rid of Semenyo. And I can't afford to get rid of the other two. So Brian Mbeumo will come in for Saka, Fernandes or Semenyo. And I just don't want to get rid of any of those players as things stand with what they've been up to this season so far. So I don't think I'll be going for Brian Mbeumo. The other midfielder, I mentioned him when obviously talking about my wildcard team, is Ismaila Sarr. 4 attacking returns from 7 games. From open play, at least, he's looking really good. And from open play, I'd make an argument. I think it's actually more than me making an argument. I think it's almost a fair point that he's a bit more dangerous from open play than Enzo Fernandez. I'm going to stick by him and Njai, by the way. He's the same price as Sarr, but he's not going anywhere. I really like Njai with all the potential routes to points that he's got. Enzo could be the one, even though I've only had him for a week. But I still think while he's got penalties and free kicks, there's just no way I can get rid of Enzo Fernandez. I brought him in last week with that in mind. I think I'm going to stick with him. So Ismaila Sarr is definitely on the short list. Maybe if one of those gets injured, I guess I bring him in. But right now, I'm not of the mind to do it. But he's definitely in my thoughts. Those would be the kind of the 2 midfielders sort of floating around my team that I don't have. Brian Mbeumo and Ismaila Sarr. But like I said, I'm just not sure there's true justification to bring him in. So that's the midfield and the defence sorted, but I'm now looking at my strikers, which last week were Erling Haaland and João Pedro, and I'm thinking, I've had enough of looking at João Pedro in my team. He's not really pulling up any kind of trees or numbers or anything that I want in FPL. And, well, I'm looking at Mateta, who I think, alongside Haaland, is probably the second best forward in the game right now. I've got something to say on Haaland as well as we move along around when I'm looking to use my triple captain. They're also, depending on Carabao Cup results on Wednesday, when the day this video comes out, there might be a potential Crystal Palace double game week before game week 19. If the result goes, I think Crystal Palace need to win that game in order to potentially get themselves a double game week. I think there may be a clash with the next round of the Carabao Cup in European competitions or something like that, which might cause a fixture rearrangement for a blank and double game week. I think that's how it could play out. So that's another reason potentially to consider bringing Crystal Palace players in. And also that might set when I play my free hit. If I've got triple Crystal Palace, they have a blank game week. That might be the time to use my free hit. Just things that go around my head about chip strategy. But Mateta's got to be going in, I think, for João Pedro. 5 goals from 9 games. And he's put up basically 8 expected goals. So what that's saying is, despite having a decent level of returns this season, he's still underperformed his data. So he's missing chances. And I don't think that's going to continue for the rest of the season. Brentford, Brighton, Wolves, Man United, Burnley, amongst the worst teams. All of those are amongst the worst teams in the league for expected goals conceded. You know, Man United had a good run of form, but they're still one of the worst teams. I think top 5 worst teams in the league for expected goals conceded. Burnley are the worst. Brentford, not great. You know, all of this just suggests that he's a good buy, right? And I'm very, very inclined to get Mateta in my team. And the thought of a double game week probably makes him the best captain or maybe even triple captain on that week as well. So that's just something to bear in mind. In addition to that, I've changed the colour of the graphic as well. Let me know which you prefer. Do you prefer the colour of the one for Mateta here, or do you prefer the colour of the one for Haaland? Let me know. But that's left me thinking, well, when could I use the triple captain then? Obviously, we're reliant on another result for Crystal Palace if I use it on Mateta. Haaland, game week 10 he's got Bournemouth, 11 Liverpool, 12 Newcastle away, 13 is Leeds at home. Looking at the remaining game weeks up until game week 19, that's probably the time to use it. If Crystal Palace don't have a double game week, which we'll obviously know by that time, that's probably when I'm going to use my triple captain. The only other thing with Haaland as well, looking at game week, what would that be? Game week 12, Newcastle away. Is that the fixture where I'd actually want to captain him? You know, are there captaincy alternatives in my team for game week 12? And we'll have a look at that. So Haaland and Mateta are going to be up front. The week that Haaland is away at Newcastle, Saka's got Tottenham at home. Bruno Fernandes plays Everton at home. Semenyo's got West Ham at home. Tick. That's a good fixture. Njai's got Man United away. Enzo's got Burnley away. But I don't think Enzo is ever a player I'd consider captain quality. And interestingly, Mateta's got Wolves away. So I think, looking at game week 12, potentially we've got some captaincy alternatives to Haaland in Semenyo and Mateta. So that's another reason to bring in Mateta, that he's got Wolves who are just, they're dreadful at the moment, aren't they, Wolves? He's got them away. That could be a good captaincy fixture as well. So yeah, just a little bit of thought there around when I'm going to use my triple. I'm still pretty fast and loose on my free hit, but that triple captain could be coming in game week 13. That'll be when Haaland has Leeds. And also need to be a little bit cognizant, I guess, of captaincy in game week 12. Because I'm pretty sure, you know, I'm looking at game week 11. They've got Liverpool at home, but I actually think that's a decent fixture at the moment. You know, Liverpool not looking that great. I think Haaland could do well in that game. So I'm not actually worried about captaincy next week at all. It's actually game week 12. But yeah, that would leave me, if I made that move for Mateta, by the way, one free transfer and 0.4 million in the bank. But pretty much, you know, I've played my wild card back along, I think in game week 6 or 7. And now I've got, or maybe even, I can't even remember. It was earlier on. I can't even remember when I played it. I had 5 free transfers when I used that wild card. I did a mini wild card last week to get rid of Gyökeres, chuck and change a few players around. And I think come game week 10, this is, if you watch my wild card video, this is pretty much bang on what I think a wild card team should be. And I've got there with free transfers. So I think I'm in a good position. The whole idea of this video is not to be cocky or gloat, but I just think I'm in a fortunate position with my FPL team at the moment, that I'll have a wild card with free transfers, basically. And finally, just to round off the video, obviously, there's no real decision to be made on captaincy this week, I don't think. Haaland's going to be my captain. According to Fantasy Football Hub, this team gets 68, was predicted to get 68 points, and it gets a 99% AI rating. So I'm really looking forward to if I score 68 points, I'll be happy. And yeah, the AI clearly likes it. So yeah, that's my team. Haaland captain, Guehi and Mateta in for Tarkowski and João Pedro. I think they're sensible transfers, and it'll make for a really strong team. I guess I'm a little bit worried about Rodon against Brighton, but I can't really chop and change 4 million defenders, can I? Yeah, I'm just going to stick by it. I'm pretty happy on the whole with this team. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. If you did, please leave me a like rating on the video. Let me know in the comments if there's any changes I should make that I haven't discussed. And apologies that, you know, the players I've covered here are largely the players that I've been talking about this week in my videos. But at the end of the day, you know, the players I'm going to be talking about in my videos are the players that I want to buy myself. So I'm showing, like, congruence that what I say in my videos is also what I'm doing. Bringing in Mateta, a Crystal Palace defender, and eyeing up in Mbumo, I don't think those are ridiculous FPL thoughts at all. So, yeah, I think that's everything. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. Should be just there on your screen. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.